Hey guys, Utah Flintlocks here, just doing a quick, I guess last final update on the Fowler here. Been a couple weeks to get it to this point. It is now completely done. Very, very beautiful gun. Talk a little bit about the process and what I did to get it to this point. Here, let me just fix that. So, this is to answer some questions because I know I've been getting some questions about how I finished it and what I did. So, obviously, doing all the normal stuff, fitting, sanding, nothing new there. But what I used is this Beck's Flintlocks finishing oil. This stuff is amazing. I think especially for walnut, it gives it a really nice, you can't see it as well in the video because it's a little dark in here, but go on to Facebook to Killer Long Rifle Owners. I just uploaded some pictures there in the sunlight so you can see it a lot better. But it gives it a really nice red kind of hue to it. Again, you can't see it as well in this just because of the time of day. It's kind of getting later in the day. But it gives it a really nice kind of faint red hue color to it. And then basically what I did is I applied a coat of this oil. I let that dry for 2 days, let it soak in the wood. What I did then is I used bone black. And that's why it looks a little bit darker. Like if you can tell right there, right there, right there, kind of around the lock plate, right there. I darkened it a little bit right there. Then I kind of darkened it along where the ramrod would be, and then I also darkened it on the tip too. I studied some original Fowlers and original pieces to kind of see where you most likely would find darkening to give it that look. So I did a coat of bone black in all the places mentioned. I let that dry for a day. I then put another coat of oil on it with red Scotch-Brite. Would let that dry for a day. I then did another layer of bone black, let that dry for a day, put another layer of oil on it, so on and so forth. In total, I did four coats of those. So I would put the bone black on, put the oil on, but let it dry, put the oil on, let it dry, and then restart that process. The reason why is because with the bone black, you want the pigment to stay in the wood. And when you apply the oil, some of it would come off. And you need multiple layers of it to get it to look how you want it to be. So it's not gonna be one size fits all. Some people might do more, some people might do less. I think with curly maple, where that wood is much brighter, you might do less. I really wanted this to kind of look like an aged Fowler. So it is a darker look, but I really like that. That's really what I was going for. I've seen a lot of pictures of old Fowlers, and I've seen a lot of originals. They look really dark. I've seen a lot of other people's Fowlers that they've done, and they're really dark, and I really like that look. So that's what I decided to go with. I didn't really put any bone black here or anywhere else. This is just kind of the darker hue that you get from using this finishing oil. Other Fowlers that I've seen that also look beautiful when you're using tried and true, which I have used on my other builds, it is more of just a clear amber color, and so you're probably going to get more of the natural color of the wood just coming out, whatever that tone of walnut is, because I guess walnut, different trees can look different. Walnut is a pretty versatile wood from what I understand. So, you know, no two are going to look the same. But that's the process of what I did. So again, using bone black, applying that, letting it dry for a day, putting the oil on, letting that dry again for a day, and then repeating that process until I had the color looking like how I wanted it to, and then I called it good at that point. For the brass hardware, I aged it with Jack's Brown. I did not use Jack's Black with the brass. I used Jack's Brown. My personal opinion is that for brass, Jack's Brown is better because you soak, here's what I do. You soak the metal, the brass, in the brown, like you completely submerge it. You let it be in there for 30 seconds to a minute, just to kind of until it darkens. You take it out, dry it off, get some steel wool, rub it back to how you want it to look, and then apply oil to it. That is what I did for my brass. I've used Jack's Black on brass before. I think, in my opinion, it makes it too dark. It's too hard to get the color that I want. It either makes it really dark and then you rub it back and then it's just gone, and then you're kind of back to square one again. So my advice for brass would be to use Jack's Brown, not Jack's Black. I did use Jack's Black for the lock. I took this apart, actually today, just finished doing it, took it apart, darkened it, put grease back in the parts where metal and metal is contacting to make sure that it would be smooth, and put it back together again. Here again, I just am random with it. I just put it on, let it soak, and then I just get steel wool and I kind of just scuff it around because I want it to have a aged, kind of authentic, random look. Like locks that would be this old, like if you're trying to make it look this old or aged, it's not gonna have a uniform, dark appearance to the lock most of the time. I'm sure there's examples where that could be the case, but in my opinion, if you have old pieces of metal, it's not gonna look uniform. So I'm random with how I scrub it back. I just kind of mess with it until I like how it looks, and then I, again, spray it down with oil, put it back together. The ramrod, I also used the Beck's Flintlock's finishing oil on that as well. Also gives it a very kind of faint red hue to it. Now the barrel, I also use Jack's Black. Now, thing that I've noticed with the barrels and using Jack's Black, if you shoot your gun a lot, meaning, you know, a couple times a month, a few times a month, every weekend, this looks really dark now. After I shoot this for a few times, take it to the range, shoot it, take it up in the mountain, shoot it, bring it back, clean it, it's gonna kind of turn into more of a dark gray color. So again, my advice for the barrels would be to just darken it dark, like get it really dark. You can rub it back if you want to, but you using it is gonna naturally rub that color back. So while this does look really dark right now, in a month, it's gonna be more gray looking. It's gonna look more similar to this, kind of like a rubbed back gray look, but I don't do that initially because what I noticed on my other gun, a Southern Mountain Rifle, the first one that I built, I blackened the barrel, rubbed it back, but then from using the gun, it kind of rubbed it back even more, and it kind of was a little bit too white for what I was looking for. It wasn't as gray as I wanted. So again, you do finish it how you want to, but this is just my recommendation from, you know, building multiple of these things and finishing them, what I've noticed. If that's the color that you're gonna go for, it will look very dark at first, it will look very black at first, but after you using it a few times, it is gonna get rubbed back and get a bit of a gray color to it. I have another gun that I can show at the end of this video kind of what that looks like. My Woods Runner, after using it for, you know, a few months and cleaning it, probably shot it, you know, 10 or so times, 10 or 15 times this year, what that barrel looks like now, just from being this black when I finished it, not rubbing it back, and just from cleaning it and what that looks like now. Last step, or last piece that I haven't mentioned, is after I was done finishing the wood, I used the Beck's wax and followed his instructions, which is to just put, you know, 2 or 3 thin coats of wax on it, let it cure, and I put, you know, I think maybe 1 or 2 more coats of wax on since then. I'll probably end up putting a few more on. It's really good stuff. I really like the sheen that it gives it. I really like the kind of satin look of guns when they look like this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my process. So this is kind of the first Fowler that I've seen yet that's kind of gone in this direction, kind of the really dark look. I'm sure there's others that are, you know, maybe gonna try to, will do something similar. I'm sure someone will make one that will look better than mine. But anyway, this is hopefully useful to those of you maybe wanting to kind of go the same route and having questions about how I did this process. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions.